Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. And today we're going to be doing the how to set up your controls guide. So this is going to be a guide for setting up your joysticks right after you first bought them. So this is for new people or existing people who are just getting into the game. So for a new development, I wanted to make a note right off the bat. With the new setup for controls, it's very important that you have this FDR control inputs mod. Now this is included automatically when you download the mods from the last install video, but just make sure that you have this file or else you won't be able to use the machines and you won't be able to set up the actual controls. So in the odd event you're not able to see the FDR controls, make sure this mod is installed because without it, it does not work. Just have to make that point right off the bat. All right, so let's get into it. I'm just loading up a test map here. Now, we're going to start working with a few different machines here just to get the control set up, but I'm going to go through step by step on what each control does and what I have them set to. We have our controllers and our little cameras to show off both sides of my joysticks, so as we're going, I can show you guys exactly how it is. So first off, we're going to hop into the loader here. Now, when I hit escape on the keyboard, it brings up this menu here so we can actually see what our controls are. We want to go up to this cog and tractor here first. Now, the very first control I always set when I start a new game or start any game is I click in here and I turn stop and go braking on. So what this is it allows your machine to just run a lot more smooth while you're backing up and going forward. If you don't have this on, sometimes the machines kind of hang up and stutter. It basically means it has to come to a full stop before you do anything. So if you want a smoother experience, I highly recommend you turn stop and go braking on and then just hit save. Next, we want to go to our actual control bindings, and we're going to walk through this list. So, when you come in here, you're automatically set on the keyboard controls. So everything that has keyboard controls is already all set up here. But if you want to set up your joysticks, you have to actually switch over to the gamepad by hitting or clicking this or hitting X. So if we click this, you can see the gamepad control section is now all lit up here. Now in here, we're able to actually go through and set all our controls. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the top important ones to get the machines actually moving. So if you scroll down this list, you'll come across this one section that says tool function 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for logging, you need to be using 1, 2, and 3. They're very important. So for tool function 1, this is what turns on the heads. So this will turn on your processor head. This will turn on your buncher head. It'll turn on your grinder. It's basically the button that activates it so that everything starts actually rolling and working. So for this button, and again, you guys can set this up to whatever you want, but I'm just going to show you what I do on my controllers. So for tool function 1, which is to turn the processor head or the buncher head on, I do left joystick and the top right button up here. So left joystick, top right button, which is number 4 there. For tool function 2, this is your cut. So normally set to X on the keyboard. This will what actually enables the cut on your processor. So when your processor blade or your processor saw is going, this will actually cause it to cut the log. So for this one, I set to my left joystick trigger. Okay. For tool function 3, this is changing your cut lengths. So this is the cut lengths for what you want to change your processor to. So if you want to cut a 1 meter log or a 7 meter log or a 10 meter, basically this button here function cycles through the different lengths. So for this one, I do my right joystick and I do the top left button. Okay. So those are the only important functions that I ever use for logging. So I just leave those be. They also have the fasten, unfasten tension belts. It's up to you guys, but I always set this just for my own when I'm working with the forwarder and moving around. I set this to my left joystick, top right corner as well. You guys can obviously set those to whatever you want, but that's what I have mine on. So now we scroll down the list a little bit further here, and we want to get to the accelerate, brake, accelerate, steer right, steer left. So up to you guys what you want to do for this. For me, I'll show you what I do. So for my gamepad, for the brake, I do my right joystick, the POV hat, this little switch at top, I pull it down. That also makes you go in reverse. Brake is also reverse. For accelerate, I do right stick POV up, and that's to go forward. So backward and forward on my POV. Now, steer right and steer left. What I used to have, and it's up to you guys what you want to do. You can do whatever you want. You can set that so you can steer to the right with your POV to the right or POV to the left, or you can set it on the twist or whatever you want. Recently, I got a set of these SciTech pedals, and I'm using those again. So what I do on my pedals is I click on the right one. So if I want the machine to turn to the right, I want to go shift my pedals like this. There you go. Because then when I turn, it'll go to the right, and when I turn, it'll go to the other way. You can see me spinning my chair here. But you guys can set that to whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's entirely up to you how you guys want to set your steering. Those are the main ones there. So now those are just the basic operation ones. So now we're actually going to get into the FDR specific controls. So now recently I've created that file with the input bindings. It automatically adds it in here. So if you scroll way down the list here, you'll see these numbered 1 FDR all the way to 30, I believe. Yes, 30. So what these are is controls that are absolutely specific to my mods. So again, if you're not seeing this pile of controls in your game, like these aren't showing up, make sure you go back and you check to make sure that input file mod is installed. Because if it's not installed, these won't be here. But they should always be here if you have it installed. So like I said, you want to scroll all the way down till we get to the FDR ones. And I've made these really easy to understand, but we're going to walk through every single one of them to show you which each one does. So first, right off the bat, we're going to start with the swing cab right and swing cab left. So for this one, I click on swing cab right, and that's to swing the machine to the right. So I do my left joystick to the right. All right. Now I'm just going to click Save Controls because I want to show you guys what that did. So when I go out here, now when I move my left joystick to the right, the cab swings to the right. Oh, it should swing to the right here. There we go, swings to the right. And then we want to move it left to swing to the left. And that's just your cab swing. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our controls again here and scroll all the way down to the very bottom. And like I said, you can you have to click gamepad every time you go back in. Obviously, if you set them all the first time, you don't have to worry about that. But we're going to scroll all the way back down again. So now we have our swing cab right and left set up correctly. So now the next one is the FDR boom arm up. So this is your main arm. So I click the top and I go right joystick backwards to set that one. So I'm going to hit Save Controls again. And now what this one does is when I pull my right stick back, the main boom goes up. When I push it forward, the main boom goes down. All right? Back, forward. Very simple. Going to go back into the controls again, switch to our gamepad, scroll down the list here. The next one is your stick arm out. So when I click stick arm out, I want my left joystick to go forward. Oops, there we go. And I want to click save. And these controls I'm setting up are exactly how they are in real life equipment for cat controls. So when I push my left stick forward, the secondary stick goes out. When I pull it backwards, the stick comes in. All right. Back to our controls, hit gamepad, scroll all the way to the bottom. So now the next one is for the Tele Arm. So this is the telescopic arm. So on some machines, some specific machines like forwarders and such, they have an arm that's built inside the stick that can slide in and out. So for this one, I choose to go my left joystick, point of view forward, which is that little hat switch on the top. And to go backwards, I do the left joystick POV backwards. And I click save. Now I have a machine or a trailer here that's got that set up. So what that is you're telescoping. So I'm just going to adjust here. So as you can see, when I push my left joystick out, it extends that telescoping head. When I pull it back, it pulls that telescoping head back in. All right. Very straightforward. There's only a few machines that have that, but it's good to know for sure. So we're going to hop back in this guy. Switch to our gamepad, scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, so now we have our Grapple Tilt in and Grapple Tilt out. So what this is the tilt or the curl of the head. So if we want it to tilt in, which is towards us, then we want to use our right joystick and we want to turn that to the left if we want it to be similar to real life. So now, when I use my right joystick and I push it to the left, it tilts the bucket or the head towards me. When I want it to go away from me, I push the right joystick to the right, and it goes away from me. And again, that's similar to how they have it set up on real-life machines. Okay, so now we're going to go back into here again, scroll all the way to the bottom. So now we're going to have the FDR Rotate Grapple Right. Again, you guys can set these up however you want, but for me, I click here and I do my left joystick top left button to go right, and then left joystick bottom, the middle button on the bottom there to go left. And I save that, and what that does is if I push the bottom, it turns it to the left, the head. You can see it turning to the left there, and if I push the top left one, it turns it to the right. And that's just to rotate the actual head itself. Okay, back to the list again. I'll scroll all the way down. So the next one is your grapple claw open and grapple claw close. So the grapple claw open and close is just your main grapple to actually open the claws up. So for the open, I choose my right joystick and I do the very top right button for open. For the close, I do the right joystick, the middle button. Okay, so I'm going to save that. So now again, when you push the top right one, it opens up the claw. When you push the bottom middle button, it closes the claw. Like such. All right. Scroll all the way to the bottom. And again, I'm just showing you guys individually. When you guys do this yourself, you don't have to keep exiting. You can do all your controls at once. So the next one is your secondary claw. So the secondary claw is on some machines, there is a second claw or a second set of claws, such as the buncher, which we'll demonstrate. So for this one personally, I do for open, I do my left POV switch up and my left POV switch down, and I save that. And what that is, so we're going to run over to the buncher here. So on some machines, they have a secondary set of claws, which is this secondary set. So again, on our right joystick, our primary closes and opens still with the buttons we just set. The secondary, now with my POV that I just set, will close and open those controls like that. All right. So now, there used to be easy versions and advanced versions of all my heads, but now, the way they're set up, you don't actually have to have a separate version. This machine, you can use effectively this head just with this set of claws. You don't have to use that secondary set if you don't want to. It's just an added bonus if you do want that. Switching back to our controls again. So the next one is for the FDR level cab forward, level cab back. So what that is some machines have the ability to tilt the body of the cab forward or backwards. So usually what I set that to is also my POV up and POV down on my left joystick. So now in this machine, because I have a machine that has a secondary claw on it, my secondary claw is still active. But if I wanted to take advantage of this tilt, because you see it's got these cylinders in the back here, if I wanted to use this tilt, I have to hit the G button on my keyboard because it switches between the head and the body. So now when I use my tilt, I can actually tilt the machine. So in the odd event you have a button set and it's not working and you can't figure it out, G on your keyboard will actually switch between the two machines, or the machine and the head's body. So if you're having problems and you're saying, oh, my secondary claw's working but my tilt isn't, just hit G, then you can use your tilt. Or you can set a totally different key. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so that one's good to go. Now we're going to scroll way down again, all the way to the bottom here. Okay, so now stabilizer feet, raise and lower. So again, this is another one I set to D-pad up and D-pad down on my left joystick. Same with foldable saws. The foldable saws, I'm going to demonstrate both of these in the next one here. So for my stabilizers, I do up and down on my left joystick. And for my saw raise, I do up and down as well. And this is just that POV hat switch I do up and down. And I'm going to show you guys what it is. So stabilizer feet are anything that have basically arms and feet that come down that you can lower to stabilize the bodies. So the LeBaire high stacker has it, and the John Deere slasher, which we're about to show. Anything with a foldable saw is, again, I'll show on the John Deere here. I do want to save my changes. So for instance, over here we have the John Deere. So as you can see, it's got these feet on it. And what these are is little stabilizers that can go down to support the body so it's not rocking back and forth. And then on the Slasher, we have a saw that's actually foldable, a manual saw. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop in this guy real quick. And I'm just going to drag this over and connect it. So we're going to grab this body piece here. And we're going to tilt it and slide it right on there. And then as you can put that close, you'll see a cue for attaching stuff. So now that's actually attached to the body. Okay, so now on this guy, as we go here, if I lower, if I go to lower the stabilizers right now, I can't because I've actually have it set to my Slasher that I just attached. So if I try to lower the stabilizers, you'll see just the saw goes up and down. And you're like, oh, well, how do I lower the stabilizers? So we're back to that same situation where we need to select between the Slasher body and the actual loader body by hitting G on the keyboard. And if I hit G, now when I push down, everything goes at the same time. My stabilizers go down, my bed rotates all at once. So then it's actually ready to go. So now if I'm ready to cut, I just hit G again. And now I'm back to my saw blade, my stabilizers stay down and I can't hurt them. And again, I'm just controlling all of that from my left joystick, POV up and down. And all I'm doing is switching between G and raising and lowering the cab. Pretty straightforward. Okay. So just remember, if you guys are ever having troubles where only one thing is working and you can't get the rest, G is the button that you got to remember. That's a question I get a lot, so I figure I would really go over that one. Okay, so we're going to go back to our controls again, scroll all the way down. So now we're looking at the front blade raise and lower. So on some machines like skidders and a couple of the loaders, there is a blade on the front of it that you can raise and lower. So we're going to, again, I set this to my D-pad up, D-pad down. It's a very popular button on my left joystick. So we're going to save that. And what that is this blade that's attached to some of the machines. So if we get inside this machine and we push the left joystick POV down, it lowers that blade. If we push it up, it raises that blade. And the same difference is on the skidders. So, oops, let's hop in that skidder. So on all the different skidders that we have, there is that same blade that you can lower all the way to the ground, and then you can raise it all the way back up again. Now, the other bonus and other thing that's going on with skidders now is the Forestry Grinder. So the Forestry Grinder is a very popular attachment that lots of people use to clean up little bits. This has now been built into a solid object that you can attach to the blades of the skidders. Now, not all skidders will support this blade, so only the skidders that have a blade that is the same size as this one, which I believe are the Cat and this one at the moment. The Tiger Cats have a much wider blade and it doesn't fit on there. So if we hop in this guy and we use our left D-pad to lower our blade down, we can actually drive right up to the Forestry Grinder, and you'll see that little notification on the bottom to hit Q. If we hit Q, it actually attaches that Forestry Grinder right to our blade. Now again, I can't raise and lower my blade because I'm set to that new object that we connected. So back to our old plausible thing, if we're having troubles, we hit G and we can raise and lower our blade again. And then if I hit G, we switch back to the other one, which there's no settings for. Now once we've actually attached the Forestry Grinder, if we hit B for Bravo, it'll actually turn it on. Again, that's the same button we assigned for our processor head, so we can turn it on and off using that as well. And it should be all good to go there. So now that that guy is attached, you can also just walk up and detach it anytime you want. And she's all good to go. So I just wanted to show that is how those connect now. And again, some of these will not fit on some of the skidder blades because they're too big. So this one and the Caterpillar are the only two that seem to be best for that. Okay, so let's go back to our controls again. Scroll all the way down. And at the end of this, I'm going to do a really quick slam through of all my controls really quick to make it real easy for you guys. So now we're at the processor, which is the last part of the equation here. The processor body raise and lower is the actual body of the processor going up and down. So for this one, you guys can set it to whatever you want, or don't set it at all if you don't want to use it. For me, I have extra buttons on my joystick that I use now, but I would set it to my POV up and down if that's what you wanted. For me, I'm going to set it to my extra buttons because I don't need to set that. The roller arms are going to be the secondary arms. So let's set the secondary arms to my other buttons. Again, you can set these to POVs or whatever you want. And I'm just going to set these real quick and show you guys what they do. The feed roller arms, which is the manual feed backwards and forwards, you guys can set that if you want to set it to something. I currently don't set it to anything because now I have the rollers assigned to the same buttons, and I'll show it off here in one sec. So if I go to the processor, now the button that we set for the body raise and lower, which is this one right here, body raise and lower, is actually the body of the processor going up. So I push the raise, it raises the body up. If I press lower, it lowers it down. All right. The other one that we just set was for the roller arms, open and close. The roller arms are those secondary arms, those ones down there that close and open. Again, because there's no easy version and advanced version anymore, you can run this machine without ever closing these arms, any of the arms if you really wanted to, so it is really easy to operate. But if you really feel like you want to get advanced and use the joysticks, you can add all the features for closing. And you don't have to use any of those secondary claws. You can just go in, grab logs, cut them, and process them without ever using that secondary log or secondary arm if you don't want to. And then just drop the tops. So anything's really possible with that, guys. Super simple. Going back to our controls again here, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. So now this is up to you if you guys want to use the manual feed rollers or not. Down here is the winch controls. They are not automatically set to a gamepad, but you guys can set them to your joysticks if you really want to. I don't. I use everything on my keyboard for that. They are automatically installed with that input binding. So they automatically install to these commands here. But it's up to you guys if you want to change them to whatever you want. I just leave them all the same and use them just as they are. But these controls are now open and good to go. Okay, so with that being said, now you guys have all your controls set up. It's very simple now with that input binding to go through and slide around and really set up your controls super fast because everything's all lined up in one section. Again, if you guys are confused on any of the controls, just go back, rewatch our intro to show what each thing does. But it should be a lot easier for you guys to set things up because now you're not going to be out hunting for all the different commands and trying to figure out a chart on what references what. It's all right here, nice and clean and easy for you to understand. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. If not, enjoy, and I hope you guys have a great time with your joysticks. All right, catch you guys later. Bye.